Hi everybody, welcome to Marvelous Monday at Dandelion Cottage. I'm Leslie Watkins. It's going to be one of those days. So this is a redo. I didn't have sound in my first video. I'm going to leave it up because I covered a lot of stuff and I thought you might want to see how I prepared and did a lot of the work beforehand. You can just put your favorite song on and watch along. But this is going to be a shorter video and I'm just going to get right to the painting. And I wanted to talk a little bit to you about the title of the video, which is The Secret of Painting. And if there is a secret to painting, the secret is this. Painting is making the visible, or let me start again. Painting is making the invisible visible. My great teacher would say that he rendered the invisible visible. And what that means is you paint what you know, not what you see. So instead of just copying something that's in front of you and just trying to get a kind of a photographic likeness, you're not going to get the kind of results that you see in the old masters and in the better pictures that you love so much. The secret really is knowing the fundamentals and the and how to render three-dimensional form on a two-dimensional plane. And I'm not going to get into that too much today because that's what you will find in my online classes. So if you think that that's intriguing and you might want to improve your painting ability, please go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to Notes. And today is the last day to register for the Painting a Peony two-way class. I'm going to cover how to paint it in both ink and in watercolors. And today I'm just going to show you how to do it very quickly in ink. And I'm going to be using the new in colors. So let me turn you down so you can see what I'm doing. These are the in colors. These are the ink refill bottles. So I've got Bumblebee, Magenta Madness, Cinnamon Cider, Misty Moonlight, and Just Jade. And I've already put drops inside my ink pads on the lid. So this is just the re-inker there. These pads are brand new, so they're a little bit tough to open. There we go. And I like to arrange my colors going from light to dark. So I'm just going to start with my Bumblebee and arrange them prismatically. And then the other thing I have here today are my aqua painters. I have a piece of Whisper White thick cardstock, a piece of the Misty Moonlight to use as a mat, and I've already stamped out my sentiment on a scrap of watercolor paper. And here's a piece of the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. I've got a paper towel handy. And my subject for today are these beautiful peonies. So there is a screen filled with peony magnificence. Okay, and I'll give you a quick look at what they look like from this angle. And I selected these because of the magenta color, and I wanted to make sure that we could use that wonderful magenta madness today. So that's why I picked this particular group. All right, now let me just check my settings and make sure that we're live. And that you can hear me. It looks like the sound is pretty good and we're live. Okay, so let's get started. So this watercolor paper has been lightly misted with my spritzer. So I can give it another little spritz. Here we go. These are very handy. Everything that you see here today is available in my online store, and I will be posting a link to all of that after I finish filming. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments below. I don't answer the comments as I'm painting, but I will be more than happy to get back to you afterwards. So I'm just going to take some of my magenta and I'm squeezing the barrel of the brush to get that flowing. And I'm just going to let that flow on the paper, and I'm making some kind of impressionistic peony shapes. And then I'm going to start to add a little more pigment into the areas that I want to be in shadow. And to be honest, I'm only glancing up at the flowers every so often just to be reminded of some of the characteristics. Really, I'm just painting out of my head. And there are some very basic things that every artist knows to help achieve the effect that they're after, and that's something that I can help you get started with in my painting classes. So now I'm just adding some of the bumblebee, and I'm dropping the Just Jade into that to get a kind of a varied green tone. And I'm just letting that kind of bleed off the edge of the page. There we go. So there's a little green, a little yellow, and I'm filling in with some pale blue. I don't want a lot of the white of the paper to show on the edges, so I'm just letting that, just putting a tone down. There we go. Now I can go back into those leaves and I can begin to build up the tonality and get a little richer value. Just by dropping some ink in there and letting it swirl around. If I want to add a little more darkness, I can just add a touch of blue to that, and that's going to make it darker still. Okay, now let's get back to the peonies. So I'm cleaning my brush. I'm just giving it a good squeeze until it runs clear. And now I'm taking a fairly strong mix of the Magenta Madness, and I'm just indicating some of the shapes of the petals. just very lightly. Just to get some of the character of the blossoms. Here we go. I think you can see that pretty well. And then what I want to do is I'm going to get a little bit of the blue, and I'm just going to drop that in there into the spaces in between the flowers as a kind of a dark accent. And then I'm going to use it sparingly around. I can use it to describe some of the veining on the leaves here and there. Okay? And I think to just increase the shadow one more time. Here we go. I'm just going to let that soften out to the edge. Here we go. And I want to, because we haven't used any of the cinnamon cider, I'm just going to take a couple of touches of that. Just put that here and there. So we can have a little variation in tonality. And I think you can see how with just 5 colors, and these colors are available as a set if you don't have them. You can find them in the catalog as the new 2020-2022 in color re-inkers, and I will have that listed below in just a little while. If you come back later today, it'll all be on there. So that is a quick and easy way that you can begin to paint with ink and make a nice hand-painted card for someone. And I'm going to just make a little room here so I can put it together for you. So remember, if you're interested in learning to paint with ink, you can go to Dandelion Cottage Design and subscribe to Notes, and you will get a newsletter that has all of my monthly class listings each month. And you'll get one today if you hurry, and I will send you the link to register for the painting a peony with 2 ways, with both ink and watercolor. Okay, so I'm just sort of giving this sentiment a little wave, and what I'm going to do is take my Misty Moonlight and a sponge, and I'm just going to sponge around the edges. There we go. Now here's my mat. I'm just going to blot this dry. And put a little bit of the multi-purpose glue on the back. Get that centered on my mat. There we go. And I'm using my bone folder to burnish that down. I can see my surface is a little wet here, so let's give that a wipe. And then do the same thing. Make sure that that's all straight. I'm just holding that in place for a moment for that to set up. I'll give that a burnish. And then finally, I'm taking my sentiment and I'm using 2 dimensionals on the back and a third one just to pop that one up a little bit so it really stands up off the card base. And I'm going to grab my glue dots and just place one on either side. And then I can place this, let's see, we'll just put it right there. And my message to you today is, you can do this. So there we are. Here's the one I did earlier. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that today, folks, and thank you for coming back to join me with the audio. I appreciate that. Here's the website one more time. If you're interested in registering for today's last day of registering for the painting of Peony 2 Ways, you can do that. There's still time. All you need to do is subscribe to notes at dandelioncottagedesign.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll be happy to get right back to you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on Wednesday for Watercolor Wednesday.